Here's a question that should keep every military strategist up at night. Is Ukraine's defense a masterclass in modern warfare, or is the world's most watched war being won and lost on political optics alone? The answer is far more unsettling than you think. This video is about a smaller country that refused to fight a bigger enemy's war. Instead, Ukraine built a defense strategy so unconventional, so politically calculated, and so adaptive that it's still standing 3 years later. Here's how. When Russia launched its full-scale invasion in February 2022, the numbers were almost insulting. Russia had 3 times Ukraine's active military personnel, a navy Ukraine couldn't match, an air force Ukraine couldn't challenge, and one of the largest artillery stockpiles on the planet. Western intelligence agencies privately assessed Kyiv could fall within 72 hours. Some gave Ukraine 2 weeks total. And the math wasn't wrong. At the peak of the initial invasion, in just under 5 weeks, Russia seized almost 115,000 square kilometers of Ukrainian territory. That's an area larger than 12 European countries combined. Here was the brutal reality Ukraine faced. Fight Russia on Russia's terms, mass armor, massed artillery, conventional warfare, and lose. Or find a completely different way to fight. The question was never if Ukraine would adapt. The question was whether it could adapt fast enough, and whether the politicians making the decisions would let the military make the right ones. So, what did that different kind of war actually look like? On the battlefield, Ukraine built what analysts call a drone wall, networks of surveillance and FPV attack drones stretching hundreds of miles along the front. The cost asymmetry is staggering. A drone costing a few $100s, destroying armor worth $1 million. Russia suffered nearly 1.2 million casualties since February 2022, more losses than any major power in any war since World War II, and drones were a primary reason why. At sea, Ukraine had no navy, so instead of building one, it built uncrewed maritime vessels, remote-controlled maritime drones that struck Russian warships and forced Moscow's Black Sea Fleet into retreat without a single Ukrainian sailor at risk. In the information space, Ukraine weaponized transparency. Every Russian failure was documented, broadcast globally, and shared in real time, turning Western public opinion into a strategic asset that kept aid packages flowing when battlefield news turned grim. But here's what almost nobody talks about. The most consequential strategy wasn't a weapon. It was knowing when to stop fighting and when to walk away from a city. The pivot moment of this entire war came in February 2024, and most people completely misread it. For 9 months, Ukraine had bled defending Bakhmut. Zelensky insisted it was a symbol. The military paid in lives. Then a new commander took over, Syrskyi, notorious for that exact costly approach. Everyone expected more of the same. 8 days after his appointment, he ordered the withdrawal from Avdiivka. What Russia actually claimed in Avdiivka was largely abandoned ruins, but Ukraine's forces pulled back in order, preserving combat power rather than dying for a city already lost. Russia was caught completely off guard. They had prepared for another Bakhmut-style grind. Instead, Ukraine was already planning its next move. Ukraine's military intelligence had begun preparing the Kursk operation by March 2024, just weeks after Avdiivka. By August, Ukrainian forces crossed into Russian territory itself, the first time a foreign army had occupied Russian land since World War II. Ukraine swiftly captured more than 1,000 square kilometers of Kursk region. The message was unmistakable. Ukraine hadn't retreated because it was losing. It had retreated to build the capacity to strike where Russia least expected it. That is not luck. That is strategy. Ukraine's resilience isn't the story of one weapon, one general, or one perfect decision. It's the story of a country that learned, often painfully, to trade space for time, to preserve forces over territory, and to fight politically as hard as it fights militarily. That combination, not any single factor, is what keeps Ukraine in this war. So, here's what I want to know from you. Which of these strategies do you think is the most underrated? The drone warfare, the tactical retreats, the information war, or something else entirely? Drop it in the comments below. And if this kind of deep, no-hype analysis is what you're looking for, subscribe. There's a lot more coming.